Aisha, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Do you want to tell us about what your child was like before he started the program? He was 3 years old, right, when he started?
Yes, so when he started the program, he had just turned 3. And at that time, he was verbal, but his communication would not make any sense. Like he'd talk, but he'd just talk random. And he would just go around with nursery rhymes, and he'd count numbers. But when there's real communication, asking for something, talking to you about something, that was non-existent. Whether it was verbal or even with sign, we would not know. We would not know whether he's hungry, he wants food, he wants to go somewhere, he does not want to go somewhere. It was just whatever we were making him do, he would do that. This is how he was. And we were kind of lost as to what to do with him, because he had speech, sort of, but the communication was not there.
I also remember he had like a lot of trouble with nurseries as well.
He could not know. So with his nursery, what was happening was he was going, but he was just on his own, in one corner, scared, or in his own world, if it makes sense.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of emotional meltdowns?
He had meltdowns, quite frequent meltdowns, yes, where we could not control him. And obviously, there was no point asking him what's wrong with you and what's happened, because he could not tell what was happening at all.
How often were those meltdowns before you started the program?
They were not that often, but we used to have them once a month or so.
Once a month.
They were quite long, if it makes
Quite
sense.
long.
They last for at least 20 minutes to half an hour. Very constant crying, screaming, hitting.
Okay. So, and he had a lot of like constipation and diarrhea issues constantly.
It was worse. He was so constipated that he would scream due to constipation. He could not concentrate or anything due to constipation. He was always just trying to figure out how to poo. Basically, whenever you'd see him, he'd be curled up in one corner. He'd be pushing next to the sofa. Quite, what should I say, resilient in the sense that he wouldn't give up pushing. There are some kids who just give up and hold. He would try and do it, but it was so painful for him, and that's where all of his energy used to go.
Yeah.
And yeah, and at that point we used to give him lactulose, because that's what the GP advised him. That lactulose was giving him cramps, which was making it even worse. So basically his day would start with constipation, and throughout the day it would be a constipation battle by the time it ends. And after, say, 4 or 5 days, when he does poo, there was still no relief or happiness there.
Yeah. Okay. So it was after he pooed after 4 or 5 days, and there was still no relief. There was still a lot of pain.
He would be in pain, yeah.
And that kind of explains like why he'd go into more emotional tantrums, like more meltdowns than he is now.
And then what happened once was he had constant episodes of diarrhea for about 1 month and a half. He had diarrhea with no other symptoms whatsoever. And we went to the GP, and the GP said he's absolutely fine. They did a stool test, came as clear. They did a celiac test on my request, because we thought maybe it's a celiac disease. That came as clear. They tried everything else. They were obviously not giving him very strong medication because of his age. He was just 2 and a bit at that time. But there was no apparent reason for his diarrhea. And his diarrhea was constant. He was in nappies at that time, and we were changing about 15 nappies a day.
Wow, that is a lot.
It was too much. It was too much. And that lasted for 1 month and a half, and then all of a sudden it stopped.
Okay, but it was always completely unexplained, like, and the GP didn't really give an explanation. And did anyone tell you that his gut symptoms would link to his autism until you met me?
No, nobody. But by that time, he was not even diagnosed as being autistic. You may recall that I had my doubts that he's autistic, and I just said that I'll go ahead with it. I'll do the program. because there will be no harm to it. And I'll wait for the NHS to do the diagnosis rather than me spending the money on her private diagnosis.
I remember that.
Because I'd rather use that money towards the course, than, which is more towards a treatment.
Yeah.
Plus, there are no side effects or any harm to it. Because I did have a look at the program and I did familiarize myself that what does it entail. So I thought, okay, let me just put that money towards the course rather than a diagnosis. So he was diagnosed last year after the program started, 4 months after, within the program, he was diagnosed. But I knew he was autistic. I had no doubts about it.
And the nursery kind of told you that they think he's on the autism spectrum.
Everybody used to tell me, but nobody used to say it to me clearly because of there's so much. Everyone's scared to tell you something, kind of a thing. And the nursery doesn't want to take the blame that, oh, if it's not autistic, the parents are just going to get annoyed or something like that. So nobody was actually agreeing to it. Everybody was saying, yeah, it may be, he may be.
Oh, okay. But you kind of knew, everyone kind of knew, but they're too scared to say something.
Too scared to say something, yes.
Okay. So when you joined my program, I remember you had a few goals. One was to get him start talking meaningfully and like have meaningful communication in sentences.
Yes.
And then, so how is he doing now with that? Because we've been working together for a little while.
Much better. So everything started to improve once he started to understand. And he started to understand once his constipation was resolved. So it was always like everything happened in stages. It just didn't happen in one go. So once we started the program, I'd say 4 months within the program, I saw him that he started to understand things. And from that, the journey began. And he started to understand because his constipation had stopped.
That's so good.
So his focus, this is how I think, that his focus from that, or maybe there was inflammation, I don't know the reason, but it all started to get better once his constipation stopped. Because when his constipation stopped, he became potty trained. When his constipation stopped, he started to understand. Once his constipation stopped, because of the understanding, he started to communicate. And once he started to communicate, we built up on it, and it started becoming better and better.
So good. And that's actually how the program is supposed to work. Like we focus on healing the gut first, because that takes like at least a few months. And like you said, in your experience with your child, it took about 4 months until that completely stopped. And then he started like understanding better. And, and everything just kind of fell into place after that.
Everything that's followed after he started understanding, there's no doubt about it. Because before, these were the things we were doing, and we were not doing anything different either. And look, there were a lot of things that a lot of people used to say, you should stop his screen time. Maybe that's why he's not talking. You should stop this. You should stop that. We did stop his screen time. What happened? He started to talk, but his talking did not make sense. When we stopped his screen time, he used to sing the nursery rhymes. He used to just count 1, 2, 3 up to 100. But there was no sensible communication. I spoke to his speech and language therapist, whom I started his speech and language therapy simultaneously with your program. And the speech and language therapist said that screen time does not impact a child that much. The way people portray it, it's not that bad, especially if you use it in a positive way. Like, they should not be in front of the screen all the time. But positive screen time does help.
Yeah.
So she did not advise me to fully just not let him watch TV or any screen time whatsoever. The speech therapist also said that you can allow him. And there was another thing. Everything was working. Like, had I started the speech therapy for him before the program, he wouldn't understand, and we'd just be going on and on in circles.
Yeah.
And that's where the issue was, because it did start. When we started the program, the speech therapist said to me, you should give him choices. And I was giving him choices from the start, but it was until this 5 months that he really started to understand what a choice is. And then he
Yeah.
could choose. Before that, he could not choose. He was just blank. You'd ask him two things, blank. You'd put two things in front of him to choose something. He'd just grab both and run away.
Yeah. Okay. So what the advice that speech and language therapy gave you was to give him choices, but that wasn't really going to work for him because he had no understanding. So until you like healed his gut, the understanding came, and then he was able to take part and like say what choice he wants and express his needs.
Correct.
And he finally got out of that constipation, diarrhea pain.
It was out of constipation, and obviously, I followed the diet, but my child is a very picky eater, and
I remember.
everything is a struggle. And it took me a long time to implement everything. And I still have not implemented everything that has been in the program, but the little that I've done has worked wonders. I've not stopped my journey because obviously I know what to do now, and we're slowly working on it. And I'm very hopeful that once we implement everything that is in the program, we will have amazing results. But I'm so happy even with whatever we've achieved so far, because that just seems like 1 year ago, it seemed impossible. And I remember when we were talking, you said to me that now he's a child, it's different. When he's a teenager, nobody's going to come and help you. Then he will be your responsibility, and then he will be your son. At this stage, it's different. People intervene, people say a lot of things, people have their own advices. But it's really when they grow, what then? And that's why the sooner you intervene, the better it is for them. Because for me, enrolling in this course, I was the one paying for it. It was a huge resistance from everyone in the family, saying, you're wasting your money. What's the point? There's so much content on the internet. You should just look it up and implement those. Nothing's going to happen. This and that. A lot of views, million views. And I just thought to myself, okay, I have to think about it. And what made me drive towards it was when you said, nobody's going to take responsibility for your child when he's a teenager.
Yeah, that's true.
That really just sunk into me. And another thing I always believe in, making a decision is, will I regret it later? And with this thing, the sooner you intervene, the better it is, especially when the development is all within the first few years. So had I waited, I would have lost this age of his.
Absolutely. You've gained so much more time now.
We have, because like I said, even with him, he's a picky eater, and introducing these changes in his diet has been very, very slow. But I had the benefit of time that I could introduce it really, really slow.
Yeah.
And now he's gluten-free as of recent, fully. He has been dairy-free. He's implementing the other things, the exercises. We've not given up. We do it with him every day.
That's so good. But the mouth breathing exercising? Those mouth breathing exercises, I mean?
Yeah, the breathing exercise we're doing, he does not do it that well, but then because he does not close his mouth. And the more we push his jawline, he just starts to say, like, stop it, please. But these are the things. Stop it, please is a good thing. Before there was no stop it, please. Yeah. This morning I said to him, what would you like for lunch? Should I give you rice today? He was like, no, rice is yucky. I'm going to throw up. These were the things he was saying to me.
He actually said that.
He literally said, rice is yucky. Then there was a pause. Then he said, I will throw up. So he knew what throw up means. He knows that rice is associated with not being delicious, and so he will throw up.
He's so funny, mashallah. Like, he's actually got a sense of humor now, or like you could see his sense of humor.
Yeah, exactly. And just that sentence was it was so amazing to have it. So amazing to have the conversation with him. Yeah. That he could choose, he could tell what he wants, what he doesn't want. Really happy. Really happy.
proud you are of your son now and how much he's changed in the last 9-10 months. Other things you shared with me is that he's now like beloved by his like teachers at school. Before, yeah, so and he's now getting on with everyone better now. Like he's very affectionate with your baby, and
his social interaction with adults is better, but his social interaction with the kids his own age is not quite there. But that's not because of him. I think the way he plays, that's not how the other kids play, and that's what's different. And we're just working on it now slowly. A very basic thing is he doesn't like to share, so he has to learn to share to make friends. But it all comes down to his understanding. He is understanding. He now knows what is good. He now knows what is bad. He now knows sharing is good. If he's not done something good, he will say sorry. He knows when to say sorry. He knows when to apologize, rather than just blank. If he's hit someone, I just look at him and he knows he's done something bad and he'll reply as sorry. And then he'll go and give that person a hug.
Oh, mashallah. He's got so much, like, he's still only 3 years old. Like, he just turned 3 in April, right? No, he's 4 now. So he started the program when he's 3, and now he's just turned 4. So he's still learning, like, these social interactions and social skills. But he's come such a long way to know when he's done something wrong, you say you're sorry, and you should give a hug.
When my baby was born, he came in the room and he would not even acknowledge the baby, not even look at the baby, not even like try and see if this is a human being or something. And that again lasted for a few months. And now I sent you the video that day that he was playing with him.
Yeah.
So that again is an improvement. And yeah, there's a lot of jealousy. There's a lot of hitting. But that for me is also communication or some sort of expression, because that's how siblings are. They don't like each other.
Absolutely. And he went from not even noticing her, that she was even in the room for months, to now actually noticing her and interacting with her. And the videos you sent of him playing with her are very, very sweet.
Thanks. So yeah, this is how he is. In the morning they wake up, they give each other a hug. And then they start fighting, then they start pushing each other. So, yeah.
I think that might just last for the next 20 years.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay.
So, plus, for me as a parent, you have been such a big support. For me as a parent, you have been a very, very big support, because whenever there has been an issue, a problem, you have been the first person that I've reached out to, rather than my mom, rather than even my partner. Oh, don't even talk about the GPs because they're completely useless. You've been the first person I've asked, oh, this is happening, what should I do? It's so important for a parent to have this support more than the child, because what parents go through is way too much than what the child is going through. And this program has given me a sense of control, a sense of achievement, that I've done something for my son, rather than just letting it be. The NHS, we got a diagnosis, and that was it. They gave me a diagnosis, and they said he's this, and he's going to have this condition for life, and he will need support for life, and you should just join these groups in which there are other parents with autistic kids, and they just talk to each other and nothing else. There's no sense of what have I done for my child. It's just
100%. They kind of just want you to sit back and like watch it happen. There's no acknowledge. It's very unempowering. And the name of my business is called Autism Brain Empowerment. So I aimed to give the power back to the parents, so that we actually know how to help our autistic child, rather than being told this is just part of their autism journey. You're thinking like he's himself. She's stimming all day. She's in such pain with constipation, but you're just told this is part of their autism journey. It's a horrible feeling.
In fact, the speech and language therapist said to me, when my baby was born, and I said, yeah, he did not acknowledge her at all. He said, yeah, that's because that's part of autism. He was not going to acknowledge her. And now, look, he acknowledges her, he plays with her, fights with her. So it is improvement. Whereas what it came from the other professional was, it's part of autism. Another thing was, part of autism was he does not talk about nursery, or if he's somewhere else, when he comes back home, he does not talk about those things. He still does not talk a lot about those things, but sometimes when I pick him up from nursery and I just ask him, how was the nursery? He tells me things like the other day he said, oh, one of the girls mentioned the name and said, she fell. Oh, how did she fall? She fell from the slide. And then I texted the teacher just to see if he's making it up or it's true. It was true. She did fall from the slide. She did injure herself.
So he's finally sharing what he did with his day?
Yes, slowly. He's slowly doing it, but it is happening now. Whereas there was a point when we were totally oblivious to what he's up to, what he's even thinking.
Yeah. He's finally like letting you into the world, joining the world.
When it comes to communication with adults, that's, I think, so much better. Communication with kids his own age is a bit different, but communication with adults, he would very easily interact, very easily communicate his needs. When I joined your program, he could not tell or could not know his feeling of hunger, whether he's hungry, whether he's thirsty. If we would feed him, he'll eat. And that also, we were self-feeding him. He wouldn't eat himself. And if we did not feed him, that was it. He will not ask for food. Again, with sleep, his sleep has improved a lot, but it used to take very long to put him to sleep. Once, I remember, I did not feed him anything for 8 hours, and he did not ask for anything. Whereas now, it's a constant asking. Oh, I want a banana. Oh, I want apple. I want grapes. I want bread.
Nice.
Constantly he asks, and not even constant, like whenever he feels, he asks. Whenever he wants to play, he says he wants to go play on the trampoline, he wants to go in the garden, he wants to go to the park, he wants to watch TV now. This is his time to relax, so he'll lie down, drink his milk and watch TV.
Mashallah. That's so good. He's more relaxed now in general, because he was quite anxious before to say anything and communicate. Now he just seems to be talking all day.
He talks all day. He talks all day. There is shyness there as well. So if he's not comfortable around someone, he will not talk. And again, the professionals class it as autism, whereas it's not autism, it's shyness. Because if he's comfortable around somewhere or something, he will talk. He will talk all day. He'll communicate the way he will communicate. But if it's something new, like he was recently joined the new nursery, and we were so concerned with the change. No, it went really well. It went really well. He adapted to the change really well. We've moved house. There were lots of new changes coming into his life. And we were extremely concerned about all of them, especially with him being autistic. He would not accept change that well before. But now he's absolutely fine, alhamdulillah.
I think what I aim to do in the program is to develop children's internal resilience, because there's going to be so many things that's going to happen in his life, like the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And you cannot just struggle with transition or change or things not going your way. You have to develop that internal resilience, because when things don't go your way, you can bounce back faster. So I feel like everything you've learned about autism and the biological causes of autism and how to build him up internally from the inside, like heal him from the inside, heal his gut health, the heavy metals, the mouth breathing, everything, like all the nutritional efficiencies he had in his blood test, everything you've learned is building up his natural resilience and all the emotional intelligence stuff we did as well. So he's more.
It all started once he started to understand. So clearly there was a link with the gut and the brain. And he started to understand once his constipation ended. So he was constipated. He was taken into the hospital and in the A&E because he threw up. He had about 10 episodes of vomiting with no other symptoms, and he passed out. We called the A&E. We called 999. They sent the A&E straight away. They sent the ambulance straight away. We went to the A&E. They looked at him. No apparent reason for his vomiting. And after 7-8 hours of waiting, the doctor came and said, "Let me examine him." He examined him and said, "Seems like he's very severely constipated because it's very, very hard around his abdominal area." And then he gave us the laxatives. And after that, he started to have his bowel movements. But giving him laxatives was another battle because he just will not take them. 4 people would hold him. He would scream, and we were just injecting the laxative into him. And it was a very painful situation for him and for us. And then we disguised his laxatives in his milk. Yeah, he would pass his bowel movements were becoming better, but again he was constipated because he was drinking normal milk. I spoke to the GP, and the GP said, "Well, if this laxative doesn't work, try the other laxative. If that laxative doesn't work, give him 2 doses a day. If 2 doses don't work, use suppositories." I mean, this was the solution from the GP. They just overload him with laxatives. And then I raised some concerns about this, and the GP said, "Okay, I will refer you to the bowel department in the hospital." And they sent a chart where we had to keep a record of when he is going to the toilet. And after about 8 weeks of waiting, they came back and they said, "Well, because he's passing stool after taking the laxatives, we do not need to see him, and you just continue with the laxatives." And he was put on a repeat prescription. And I just thought to myself, okay, this is not good, because I can't keep giving him laxatives for his life.
Absolutely.
And now it has been since November, he's not been on laxatives at all.
Mashallah. So like 7-8 months now of no laxatives and pooing a normal poo every day, alhamdulillah.
Normal poo, even if it's not every day, it's a normal poo. There is no pain, there is no straining. It is a normal poo. And this is when he's not drinking water, because he still has an issue with drinking water. So he's getting his fluids from fruits and non-dairy milk. Once he starts drinking water, even that's going to become better. One more thing I want to mention is his sensory issues. So before starting the program,
he had a lot.
He was very sensitive, really very sensitive. And sensitivity in everything, sensitivity in taste, touch. So touch was his sensitivity around sand, his sensitivity around textures, his sensitivity around grass, wetness. And now he rolls in sand. Voluntarily, I bring him back from his nursery every day. There's a sand pit in the park. And he just leaves my hand and goes and jumps in the sand and starts to roll in it. That's how much he's improved. Textures, his sensitivity around taste was so bad that when I introduced oat milk, he straight away knew this is oat milk, this is not normal milk, and he would not drink it. But now he is becoming more and more tolerant to other textures. He's becoming more and more tolerant to other food. Pears was another thing, because they're a bit slippery in texture. He will not eat pears, but now he eats them. Again, gluten-free flour was another thing. He was so used to the normal flour that whenever I used to give him gluten-free flour, it was a complete no. He will not eat. But now he will eat gluten-free flour. So his tolerance has become better. His sensitivities have improved. This is all amazing for him.
He's also like enjoying life more, because now he's jumping in the sand. It wasn't where before it was very stressful for him. So now he's enjoying life more, alhamdulillah.
Stressful, distraught, because I remember I put him in the sand pit. This was when he was 2 years old. I put him in the sand pit in the park, when the other kids were running around playing. And he just stood there, and the way he looked at me was, "What have you done to me?" He did not cry, but he went in shock that, "What have you done to me?" And then he was just looking at me in the state that, "Pick me up, take me out of this place." Like, he was shocked. He was not moving from there, as he was stood there like this, looking at me. And yeah,
And now
very
he's in himself.
plays in sand, plays that slime and all these things. And yeah, there are times when he did not used to feed himself. Very recently, he started to feed himself. He now eats himself. We don't feed him at all. And when he takes the food, he used to take the food, and the reason he did not used to feed himself was because of the feeling.
Highly in. Yeah, the feeling, yeah.
Yeah, and he still feels it. But then he knows that he's going to wash his hands later. So he'll eat, wipe his hands, and once he's finished his food, wash his hands, and that's it. It's gone. Same as with painting. He never used to bother colors and paint on his hand, and he does now.
Do you feel like you have a much happier child now compared to before, where he had the emotional? Oh, so good. That is a massive success in itself. And you feel like you know what to do to help him going forward. Because like you said, he's quite a picky eater. You know, he's really resistant to change, but you kind of got a plan to really like help him in the future. So you know, if anything comes up, he can really like optimize his physical and emotional health. And do you feel like you've got that plan now?
Yes, physical, emotional health, and everything else is also working better for him. Like, he's recently got an occupational therapist as well. He's always been it's been a year that he's on with speech therapist as well, with nursery as well. But whatever things they're implementing, they're working on them. Whereas before, it was just going blank. Because he was in nursery before the program as well. It's not that he started nursery with this program. He was at nursery 1 year before he joined the program. But his improvement in a lot of things, we could not see it really. Whereas now, we can see his improvements.
So good. I think I remember you saying you put him in a very expensive, exclusive nursery as well. And still and that was before he joined the program, but still he hadn't, you know, he was still having the meltdown, still having the constipation, still the speech and understanding wasn't there. The self-feeding wasn't there. The texture was there.
No, none of these were there. And he was in a very expensive nursery. There were only 4 kids there so that he could get one-to-one attention. And it was, what should I say, like a dream world, like Alice in Wonderland type nursery. It was a small hut and such a nice garden and this and that. Everything. People would love to have the kids there. And I really was lucky to have him enrolled there because he was just familiar with the setup of nursery. But when we recently moved and I could no longer afford that nursery, so he was eligible for free hours. And we enrolled him in this nursery, which is just a normal government-funded nursery. He's absolutely fine. Whereas when I was looking for a state-funded nursery for him, and I was taking him with me to these other nurseries, because of the sheer number of kids around, the noise around, he would just either refuse to go in, or he'd hold my hand and just pull me so that we can go out. Whereas now, he's fine. He just goes, voluntarily goes,
so good,
enjoys, and comes back.
He's so much more relaxed.
He is relaxed. He's more tolerant. He's more accepting, and he understands more.
I could tell from how you're speaking, you're so proud of him, of how far he's come since working in the last 9-10 months.
Yes, and he's been through a lot as well. Like, obviously, we don't know the pain he was going through when he had the constipation all day. Literally, I once took him and two of my nieces and nephews to the trampoline park. And they were playing and jumping around. And my son was just in one corner trying to poo and screaming. And if I hold him, he would just scream and run away and go into another corner and just try just to poo. And that broke my heart. seeing the other kids, seeing my own niece and nephew playing and running around. And in that trampoline park, he was just trying to poop. Recently, we went to that trampoline park again. He could not stop playing. He was jumping around, running around. And once we came back, the next morning, he woke up and he said, let's go to the trampoline park.
That's so sweet, mashallah. Oh, so he's definitely enjoying his life more, alhamdulillah. Like he's able to do so much more now, and like play with sand, play with trampolining, you know, take part in a normal nursery, not have a sensory overwhelm that he feels like he needs to escape if there's loud noise.
Yeah, and this is when I have followed the program, but I've only followed the program the way he has been accepting it. He's very recently been gluten-free. He was not gluten-free all this time. He was dairy-free, yes. But I'm just so excited to what's coming next now that I'll implement these other stages as well. The detox, this and that. There's a lot, and I'm really looking forward to it. But just once his gut was healed, oh my God, the transformation was amazing.
And yeah, I'm so happy to hear this. It's such great news for your son. So another thing I want to touch upon as well is what should I say? Okay, so like it's actually very common for the parents who work with me, where I have the mum who really wants to do the program, and then the dad is more resistant, and then the extended family are really resistant. What was it like for you, and what made you feel like I just need to do something?
Right. The reason, as people will guess now, is my face is blurred and I'm using a different name, is because my family was resistant. And I still went ahead and did the program. There's one big difference is I was financially independent, so I could source the fund myself, which I did. Despite that, the amount of resistance I faced was just enormous. From my husband, who said, you're just wasting your money. From my sister, who said, you're just throwing the money down the drain. And I said, so be it. It's my own money and it's my own decision. I'll make it. And if nothing happens, then 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line, I will not have any regrets as a mother that, oh, I did not do this for my son when I could do it, when I was able to do it. And I'm so happy that
when he was younger.
When he was younger, exactly. When he was younger. Because there are a few other members in my husband's extended family who have autism. And all that they say is, no, this kid was absolutely fine when she was young. And then she went abroad and somebody did a spell on her. And this is how she's changed. Still not accepting that it's autism. Still not saying that it's autism. Whereas it's clearly autism. So things like this. And once they grow, they are only the parents' responsibility. Now that girl is 9 years old and she's become violent. Then there's another person in my husband's extended family. That boy was so violent that he hit his mom so bad, the mom was in hospital.
Wow.
Hospitalized for 2 days.
With boys?
Yeah, like bruises. And
that's really bad.
Thought to myself that I have to do absolutely anything that I can do just to avoid all that. Because a happy child can turn violent. You just don't know what can happen, because at the moment, and I say a happy child can turn violent, even my son used to kick. When he had the meltdowns, he was 3 years old, 2.5 years old, 2 years old even, and we could not control him.
Yeah.
Even holding him was hard for us. Okay, not for his father, but for me, it was very hard. He was kicking and doing all these screaming, yeah. And what would we do? One day, we just let him, and he was hitting himself rather than throwing things away. And it was harmful for him. And
hitting himself is horrible to see. So it's
It is
even
horrible.
sometimes even worse. You can
Hitting
tell
his head
something
on
else.
the floor, hitting his head on the floor, and it was a hard floor. It wasn't a carpet. It was the tiles, and he was hitting his head on the tiles, and you could not stop him because if I grab him, he just kick me. This is a 2.5-year-old boy. I'm not talking a teenager. I just thought to myself, it's just going to get worse when he becomes older.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to do anything and everything. And even at that stage, everybody was talking because it's so much easier to talk. But nobody was really doing anything for him. Nobody was really making a change for him. In fact, it was all in denial that no, he's not autistic. Even now, there is so much stigma around it that I'm not even allowed to go and openly say that my son is autistic because you're just putting a label on him. To me, it's not putting a label. It's just understand that be gentle, be kind, be understanding, because this child is neurodivergent.
Yeah.
Because whoever I've said it to, I've obviously mentioned it to the nursery, to the speech and language therapist, obviously getting the courses, but more so nursery. And they are acting with him in that manner, and it's really helping him.
Yeah, they're more compassionate.
They're more compassionate, even with friends. My friends obviously know. And yeah, it's all very different. My family knows. And when the cousins come to play around, they play around in a different strategy, which has really helped him in his social interactions. Because once that confidence in playing is building up, then that will be implemented with the other peers and other kids of his age.
Absolutely, 100%. It's still a social skill to be able to play with your cousins. So we've come.
You will face resistance. You will face resistance. All the parents who have resistance, it is so normal, especially in our society where mental health, nobody even talks about mental health, or it's just one term referred to it, or they're mad. It is a big, what should I say, fight for the parents, especially for the mother, because the mother gets blamed for anything and everything. But at the same time, the mother can do a lot for the child, because the way the mother can nurture a child, nobody else in this world can. And absolutely, this program has been so empowering for me as a mother. And now, even the other day, I was sitting and saying to my husband, see, you did not let me enroll in this program. And can you see the benefits now? And there was a silence, complete silence and mute from him. So, yeah. One more thing I'd like to mention is we all, as a family, now have such a healthy lifestyle and such a healthy diet, which has helped all of us. We have very little, I wouldn't say we don't have any, that would be a lie, but we have very little ultra high processed food in our kitchen now, in our home. We eat, but we eat healthy. And a very small example is bread. When we switched our bread to bakery bought bread, or I get mine from the market rather than bakery, there was a time, and I'm quite skinny, but for my breakfast, I used to have 2 slices of bread and 2 biscuits of Weetabix every day in the morning.
Yeah.
And come 12 o'clock, 11:30, 12 o'clock, I was starving. I was like, oh, I need more food. That's because the food that I was taking, although the quantity was high, it was not giving me any benefits. Now, just 2 slices of good bread, and that's it. I feel full. I feel more nutritious. Like, I don't feel I'm eating crap. And I do sustain myself up until lunchtime. And once my husband never used to eat bread because he used to say, no, it tastes bad. And then I introduced this bakery bread to him. And yeah, even with him now, we don't buy any store-bought bread anymore. If there's no bread, we'll make chapatis at home, or we'll make parathas at home. But we would not go and buy cereal anymore. We would not go and buy bread anymore. It is a bit expensive to live this lifestyle, but the benefits are so huge. And if you don't spend on your health, if you don't spend on your child's health, what are you going to do with this money? And this is another message I'd like to give to the other parents, that you may save for your child to buy a property for your child, but what good is that property when that child does not understand or cannot take benefits of it?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're still responsible for that child.
You'd rather invest that money in your child's health, in your child's upbringing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they will be better in life. They so will be better in life. And that is where I invested the money from. I was saving for him in funds. And so there was an investment fund I had opened for him. And I just thought to myself, okay, I don't know whether I'll do something else, but I used that money to fund this program. I used that money for his speech and language therapy, because you don't get anything from the NHS. I'm using that money for his occupational therapy. That's the money I'm using. So the parents, all the parents, if you have means, 100% go with this program, because it will help. It will help one way or the other. Autism is a spectrum. You just don't know at which level your child is. But you will see improvements in their current, whatever they are at present, you will see improvements from that current state. And it will be positive improvements.
Thank you for that really nice endorsement, Aisha. I'm just so happy that this program has helped you and your son. Can you say also how you found working with me? Because we didn't know each other at all. And like, how have you found working with me?
Amazing. You're available all the time, and there have been so many times where I've not read your messages for days. I have not replied, busy with my life, because when I enrolled in the program, I had given birth to my daughter as well, and things were quite rough for me, really rough for me, because I had a C-section, and yeah, and you were so accommodating, so understanding to begin with in that time. And then whenever I have a question, you always come back to me. You always reach out. You always ask if I've not replied. Is everything okay? You've been quiet. And it's not just me. I've seen you asking these questions when we're doing our sessions. You ask other parents as well. And I just thought to myself, how does she keep? Does she have me? I was like, okay, I've given my course. I've given my lecture. Now it's up to them whether they take up it, they implement it or not. But no, that's not the case. You ask, and you're always around, you're always helpful. And like I said, for me, you're the first person I reach out to whenever there's a problem, even if there's no problem, even if there's an achievement. I think of you, and yeah, my entire family knows about you.
Oh, why that's so nice, Aisha.
So yeah, it has been an absolutely amazing experience working with you.
That's so nice, Aisha. You know, I am actually, when people join my program, I really want to get them a great result. That's why I try to like check in on everyone to make sure, because I've noticed some parents are quite shy in speaking to me, even though they join the program, they don't want to bother me. And then some parents are a lot less shy. So I just want to make sure everyone has had a chance to speak to me. That's what I promised when I joined the program.
Not working, because that happened to me as well. I don't remember what was not working. Honestly, I don't remember. But there was something that was not working, and I did not communicate it with you. And then you asked me, and I said, yeah, I tried that, but it didn't work. And then you quickly came up with an alternative. So that's another thing, that if something's not, after that, whenever something's not been working, I've been communicating with you, yes, this is not working. But yeah, had you not asked me, I would have just, like the other parents, been quiet. And I would have just thought, well, it's not working, it's not working. That's not the case.
I think troubleshooting is like where my expertise also really lies, because rarely do things go to plan. So a lot of people ask me like what's the difference between the book and the program? And the book is like not as comprehensive as a program, as you know. The program is way more comprehensive, but also it's very difficult to get things to go to plan. And because we're talking about humans, and this is just like, it's way better than the book. I'm glad that everyone has the book to understand what the 7-step autism action plan is, But I think if you really want results for your child,
You
I
do.
have this confidence anyone in the program who
To be able to communicate what's happening. Had I read the book, no way on earth I would have achieved. It gave me an understanding, but I got the book once I was already on the program.
Yeah.
So it's different because I got the book from you. But book is good, like you said. Book is good for the parents who are really up to it and who want to do something just by reading the book. I don't know how many parents are there who will just read a book and implement it. But program is different because you're talking to a person, you're communicating, you're interacting. A very small example is if something happens. The other day when we were doing the session, you gave us examples of two people, that this is what happened to that person's child, this is what happened to another of one of your clients. These examples help because you then relate to it. If you have any questions, you can just ask.
Yeah.
No, it's very different. Book and the program are very different because with the program there's you who we can bother day and night, literally. And you will always
also, I think, yeah, no, I really want to help everyone. So I'm glad you've benefited from that. And I'm glad so many other parents have benefited from it. I also think another great thing about doing the group program is that you see other people get results. So you are more determined to help your own child. Sometimes I think in the outside of our program, like in the autism space, it can be very negative. Like your child's like this forever, and it will be like this forever, and there's no hope because they have autism, and that's the explanation you're given. But everyone, that's definitely not the case, and you've seen that in the group program. Everyone's child can make a massive improvement, and I'm so happy that they have been.
Yeah, like with the gut. But this is the thing. Soon as my son's constipation stopped, which was healing his gut, and I don't know how much his gut is healed because he's very recently become gluten free. But that constipation stopping changed him. And yes, since then he's improving, and he's improving in a much positive and better way.
And faster.
Very different, faster. When he was 2 years old, he was completely nonverbal. When he was 3 years old, he was not nonverbal, but whatever he was saying were completely senseless. He was just singing nursery rhymes all the time, a lot of repetitive behavior, a lot of repetitive nursery rhymes, a lot of like counting numbers that day and night. He would just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, nothing else. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Okay, fine. He has words, but those words are pointless.
Not functional.
Exactly, not functional. In fact, it was just more depressing, if I may use the term, that what is happening. But now he communicates.
So good. What a transformation. So happy for you, Aisha. Okay, so thank you for sharing your experience, and I am so hopeful that inshallah your son will just keep continuing to improve. And even when you finish the program, I'm sure I'll be getting like a video from you every now and then, and I can see how much he's improved.
Inshallah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Now he's recently become totally gluten free, which is a huge achievement. This was something that I was meaning to start, but because of his resistance, we could not. So yeah. After that, I'll start the detox, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Definitely, inshallah, and you can always stay in touch as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome, Aisha. So it's been a pleasure working with you.
Likewise, and thank you so much for being accommodating. For you, I just said to you, this is my situation, and at that point, I was just saying to you that I will not be able to carry on with the program really, because when I had my postpartum period was really hard. This time it was very, very hard. And I just thought to myself, that's it. I can't do this course, but I can't cope up with it. I did not even ask you to just hold it and let me start next term. It was your suggestion. And it was so good because I healed myself. And that's another thing. A parent has to be fit themselves to help their kids. It's not going to happen otherwise. And that was the time I saw. And again, you advised me of the breathing exercises, mediation and all these things, they helped me. I healed, and once I healed myself, I could help my child as well. So there's a lot for parents, and this course has taught me a lot. It has taught me. And like I said, it gives you a sense of achievement. So if as a parent you want some sense of achievement for your child, like I said, autism is a spectrum, and everybody's going to see different results as well, because every child is different. But whatever the results will be, it will be an improvement from the current state your child is in. No doubt about it. No doubt about it at all.
Thank you so much, Aisha. Thank you so much.